Hello there and welcome back to the channel. I'm David Steele and here's me truck, and you're about to watch me make a complete mess of backing my trailer to collect today's cargo. And this may not even make it onto the video, I don't know, but we'll see what happens. So today we're in the Renault Premium and we're going to be doing some hauling. We're going from Bergen, Norway to Oslo, also in Norway. So we've got quite a heavy run today in a truck that's not really known for its heavy haul capabilities. Excuse me. In fact, the Premium was more of a sort of regional type truck. And by regional, yes, I mean, it's a sleeper. It's not a day cab, but it's known. Kind of making a mess of this, but at least I'm getting it more or less where it needs to be. Yeah, it's more known for being a sort of lighter Magnum. Now today's model is configured around about a 1996 specification, and this particular truck, the Magnum, has an interesting history. It ended up using Mack engines. You know what? That's good enough in terms of it's in the spot. Yeah, so the Magnum and the Premium ended up using Mack engines, as I understand. The Mack E7 specifically. It was called a different engine. It was called an MIDR 06. I forget the rest of the numbers. I'm not going to embarrass myself. There's a bunch of MIDRs. MIDR stands for essentially it's a Renault engine. And the 06 is the number of cylinders, and then there's three sets of numbers in total. I need to get a bit of a move on actually. 9 hours to do it, 507 kilometers. We're hauling nearly 61,000 pounds of train axles. That's going to be a challenge. And I'm going to haul these using the transmission in automated mode for the most part. I really would like to do this using sequential manual, but this is meant to be a test of this particular engine. So we will actually just make sure that the shift points are where they should be. So yeah, going back to the Renault Premium, it has an MIDR engine. It's a pre-Mack engine. Now, Renault bought Mack in, I believe, around about 1990. Well, it's a bit more complicated than this, but they were a majority share owner and they got a controlling stake in the business. And then Renault were bought by Volvo, and that's how Mack became part of Volvo. And to this day, Renault trucks still use essentially Volvo engines and Volvo transmissions now, just like Mack. Well, this truck uses largely a Renault engine. Now this is the MIDR 06. Yeah, I'm going to forget what exactly it is, but it's the 11 litre version. Let's go ahead and get out of here. Let's move it around. And this is the 380 horsepower, I think it's 381. And 1700 newton meters of torque. So it's the mid-grade of the 11 litre engines available in this particular truck. Okay, for this age and this type now, there appear to be rather a lot of different engines available for the Premium. So you have the 10 litre and then the 11 litre and the 12 litre engines, and these are the pre-Mack units. And then after that, no, it's not this left, it's the next left. And after that, you ended up going down the Mack E7 route. I don't believe the Premium got access to the Mack E9, the big 16 litre V8. I could be wrong. Beg your pardon. I think we're good. Lots of head turning and looking here. Right, let's get on the move. So I may not complete this entire route in today's video because it's kind of torturous. Well, I mean, I say torturous. It's a long road. Good grief! I've got 14 hours to do it, so I've got to get a move on here today. I can't really mess around. This, I guess, it's an urgent delivery. So not only is it a heavy cargo, but I've got quite a bit of time pressure in a truck that's not the most powerful out there, let's just put it that way. Now I'm using a Renault 9-speed transmission. It's the B9. It is an overdrive box and it's configured as an 8+1. So essentially it's set up like an 8-speed with an additional crawler gear. Final drive today is 4.1 or 410. I did consider using a shorter or a slower final drive to help get me a bit more power to the road, but decided I would set this truck up this particular way just to see how well it copes with it. Now what that 410 transmission final drive means is when I'm cruising along at 50 miles an hour or 80 kilometers per hour, I reckon I'm going to be seeing round about 1300 revs on the rev counter. And peak torque in this engine is from about 1200 RPM. So my hope is that this will put me more or less at the sweet spot of where this engine really wants to be if I can actually accelerate here, because the speed limit's got up to 80. There's going to be a lot of speed limit changes today, but maybe perhaps not as many as a normal European drive. So I really wanted to set this truck up as more of a line haul kind of truck, not necessarily optimized for the Bergen-Oslo route, which does involve a mountain pass and some pretty steep gradients and lots of tunnels and stuff. But I didn't necessarily have it set up for hauling 60-something thousand pounds worth of train axles. So this will be a challenging route. Oh, and it's raining. You couldn't tell. So there is that aspect to it too. See how well it copes. But yeah, looking at the engines that Renault used has been an interesting experience because, yes, the Premium was launched with the 10 litres that the Magnum may have gotten, but not as popular. The Magnum being considered as a slightly bigger, sort of more of a line haul, long distance tractor unit, and the Premium is a bit more of a regional truck, so it's kind of smaller and lighter. You wouldn't necessarily want as much or need as much power as want's not the right word. Need as much power for the regional stuff. Let's see. So it's going to cruise along at 70 in top gear. And it might do. I would say we're going to need to down change if we have to climb a hill. We'll see. It's there we go. It's not using any power. Okay, so it really wants 7th gear for 70 kilometers per hour, and that's fair enough. There are quite a few areas with a speed limit of 70. 1500 revs, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. So my expectations today for this run, honestly, I think the truck's going to struggle. I think we've got a lot of cargo on the back of what is only a 380 horsepower engine. I don't think it's going to be the most performant of vehicles, but I'm all over the road here, so I'm trying not to text and drive, but yeah, I'm texting and driving. Okay, let's put that phone away. I don't need that right now. Yeah, so I think it's going to struggle on some of the steeper inclines, but that said, I think it's geared appropriately. When we get up to 80, which we'll actually do because the speed limit changed when I wasn't paying attention. Let's see if we're doing 1300 revs at 80 miles an hour. Plus we're going to go to a gradient and we're slowing down. Now the Magnum was a popular truck in the UK, and I would say it probably turned Renault's fortunes around. I think before the Magnum, speed. We're speeding, David. There we go. The Renault, I think the G series was the truck that we had before the Magnum, if memory serves me correctly. And it wasn't unpopular, but not as popular as the Magnum became. I mean, maybe it's that cool name, I'm not sure. But it has a pretty epic, very tall tractor unit, and notable for having a flat floor, which I think a lot of trucks in this time had this little bump in the middle. I wonder whether this one does as well. Let's take a look. Does it have a bump? I think it might do there. A little hard to tell, really. But I'll let the view correct itself. We have an underground roundabout. I mean, you don't really want to rush up to the roundabouts, but we are doing. Cruise back on. So far it feels like my shift points are about where they need to be, and in terms of setting up the 11 litre MIDR versus the 10 litre, in terms of characteristics, the 11 litre's got quite a longer stroke compared to the 10 litre, and what that means is it produces its torque and its power a little earlier in the rev range. So the 10 litre model, and I'm not going to drive that back to back with this truck today, it needs a few more revs. Peak torque in that engine is at 1300 RPM versus 1200, and peak power is at 2100 RPM as opposed to 1900 for this engine. So it needs ringing out a little bit versus this engine. So this should be a bit more of a haulers kind of engine. You don't need to use such short gearing. You can use the torque to lug it up hills. That's my thought. But in terms of on the road, it does feel a little different, as it should do. I mean, do I have a preference? Well, I've worked a lot with the 10 litre in the last few hours of gameplay before recording this video today. So I'm pretty experienced with the 10 litre, and it's good fun to kind of hustle that through the gears using sequential manual or having the shift itself. It's got that set up nicely, and I've not spent anywhere near as long with this engine, so I couldn't say if I like it so much. But right now, the fact that it did that little smooth downshift there to help me up the hill, I'm not unhappy with it. It does have more power than the 10 litre. That one tops out at 340 horsepower. But right now it's not rapid. Well, I'm going to say that my last run right before recording today's video was with a much lighter cargo. I mean, we're talking 15,000 pounds as opposed to, was it 64,000 pounds? 61,000 pounds, my bad. So it was significantly lighter cargo, and it meant it had a certain kick to its step, let's just say. This is a much heavier package. Alright, time-wise, we have an hour of 1 hour 20 minutes of sort of, I would say spare time is the wrong term, but budget is even the wrong term, but I reckon it's going to take me 6 hours 31 to get to my destination, and I've got 7 hours 47 before I must take my break. So that hour and 20 minutes is my buffer zone. I don't want to get fined through being late. Look at that. So I'm doing 83 and my revs are about 1400. Yeah, so the gearing is probably about right. I think I could have used a slightly shorter set of ratios. Actually, I think I really need to kill a little bit of speed here, using a bit of service brake. Oh, good job I did. Don't have a retarder function on this transmission. I probably should have put one. Yeah, I also wanted to test the engine brake as well. Make sure that that worked as it should. And I think so far it's doing okay. It is using crawler to move off from rest, but it skipped a gear there. Left the engine brake on. Now, as far as how well the game is running, I'm recording today's video at 60 frames a second. And I haven't recorded ATS at 60 frames a second for a long time. Feels like 18 months. So that, I think, is a very good thing. Now, as to how well it's working my system, yeah, let's just say it is working the system pretty hard. My GPU is sitting at 80 degrees Celsius right now, and it's working at about 80% load, which is higher than I normally see it. And yes, it's running pretty warm. My CPU is not working hard. The GPU is using nearly 400 watts. You what, mate? It's a bit heavy on power, is this GPU. 380 watts now. But it's running at 72 frames per second. And I capped the frame rate at 72. And it could probably run slightly higher. I don't need it to. I could probably cap this thing at 60 and still be extremely happy with how well it's running the game. I'm content with how well ETS2 is running. On version 1.55, so thank you SCS. And it looks pretty. I believe my scaling is set at 300% for today's video, which is the NVIDIA recommended setting. I really need it to be quite that high. Still looks good at 200, better than does 100%, that's for sure. So I'm giving it full power right now. And it's going to get up to 30 at least, so I can use cruise control, so I'll go ahead and do that. I don't know if I'll get up to 80 kilometers per hour, but yeah, it is pulling itself up this hill. I want it upshifted, and it's still hauling, still accelerating, so that is a little different to the 10 litre. The 10 litre, you'd use all those revs. Without having that comparison, it's a little tough. We're still picking up speed as well. That's about fast enough, I think. I just tap down my cruise control to keep me at whatever speed this is. So I'll jump back in the cabin. 60. Yeah, I think 60 is reasonable. As you can see, I'm not the smoothest going around this corner, and I really should optimize my my controller settings. Right, let's see if I can get it up to. Actually, no, let's not. I don't want to fall off the road through a tight corner. So spending time at slower speeds is what's going to use up that hour and 20 minute of time in my time budget. So as I spend less time or more time traveling at slower speed, you lose against the clock. And we'll verify this in just a second. So it reckons, yeah, we've lost 20 minutes. So I've got an hour in my time budget. It's very hard to make up time once you lose it, unless you want to break the speed limit, and I really don't want to do that. But I think testing how well the shift points work is more important, and we've just seen there it shifted down to keep things going up a hill, and I think that was spot on. This is not me changing gear, this is it changing gear for me. Over a sip of water. bearings set up close to where I want them to be. So where does it shift up to top gear? 75, so it did ring out a little bit, and by ring out it did keep the engine revs going, but it's picking up speed and up to 80 kilometers per hour pretty effectively. Yes, we're going up a gradient now. I'll have to turn off, but so I can't really measure how well it's holding up this hill. I've got to kill the power to turn right. That's me shift downing, shift hint down. Let's get back on the power. I'm giving it full power right now, letting the transmission use a few more revs if it so feels the needs. So that's about 1700 RPM to 1800. When's it going to change up to 19? Okay, it's about 19. So it used peak power at that shift point, which, if you need the best performance, is probably what it needs to be. Right, let's tap resume on cruise, and it will stop guessing what it needs to do and just follow a much stricter set of shift point rules. As far as how well this thing is performing, I would say it is doing just fan-dabby-dozy. So much so, speeding, I'm going to just tap up a little bit. Let's see if we can do 90 kilometers per hour. Try and make up a few minutes of time. I don't know that I will. Oh, I'm not. Look at the road. A little bit of understeer, veering into oversteer then. Yeah, that's me being a doofus. That's what you don't want to do as a truck driver, and unfortunately I do that quite a bit in ETS too. Oops. See what I mean? It's me being a doofus. Did not need to do that. Yeah, so I can't really hustle this thing. And maybe I could get away with hustling it if I didn't have 61,000 pounds of train axles on the back. If it was a lighter cargo, but right now, yeah, back on the engine brake. It's tipping just a little into oversteer there, just a little. Back on the power. And that's the rear axle is being braked by the engine, but it's being pushed forward by all that weight behind it, and it's seemingly pushing the middle axle towards the outside of the corner. And then you get this weird roll sensation where it starts to scrub off speed, and it can jump and jitter a little bit. And the next stage after that is you hit something sideways, or you kind of jackknife. Now, you don't truly jackknife very easily in ETS2. It's not something that the game really wants you to do. You have to be doing something stupid to get it to jackknife. It's possible. But on the whole, it doesn't do it. It just skids and you understeer off into a tree. Usually it's a tree. This is working great. Yeah, we've lost a bit more time, but it's not horrendous. I can't make up much more time with this police car in front of me, unfortunately, but maybe I can make up a few seconds, possibly. Maybe. Put me down to 5th gear, wow. Look like a bold overtaking move, but if it works, it works. talking a little bit about the engine and the gearbox and enjoying this trip through Norway. I really feel like just enjoying the drive and not trying to narrate what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to mute the microphone and I'm going to try and drive professionally like in it, not being a doofus. I'll be back when something more interesting is going on. one speeding ticket as I went through a village way too quickly, and one incident of being possibly slightly a little on, I would say two wheels, but on one side of the truck. And I think that's just me rushing. I mean, let's go back to here. I've still got 45 minutes in the bank to get there before the end of my shift. So I don't need to rush around too hard. But it seems as soon as we leave the mountain pass behind us, we've still got... Come on, David, get with this too. We've still got an hour and 45 left to drive. So, yeah, my comfort with the truck is such that I'm trying to hustle it a little, and it's not really working. And that's something I find of every stock truck in ETS2. I am unable to hustle these trucks. And even in a straight line, it seems as soon as you get going, somebody always pulls out in front of you. So, difference between ATS and ETS2, that's one of them. And right now, we're struggling to get up this hill, so it seems... I mean, we didn't stop, but we got down to pretty slow speed. Now, give way is useful, because I don't need to stop. So I can see how having the Renault 18 speed could make quite a useful difference to how well this thing performs, or one of the automated 12 speeds. They were not available in 1996, but one could have been retrofitted. But all said and done, the 9 speed is commendable. Yes, I do need to use a few more revs in the interim shifts, but it's not exactly a terrible experience with the 9 speed. I think perhaps the biggest, not call it glitch, but the thing I see is if I'm doing 70 kilometers per hour, I gotta be in 7th gear, and I'm showing 1500 revs, which feels like the engine's revving a little too high for the road speed. But other than that, no, it's completely fine. Handling is, it feels a little lightweight as far as the truck goes. It's tempting to hustle, but as I said a few minutes ago, yeah, hustling just doesn't work for me. Gear shift, completely fine, so just then I squeezed the pedal harder and it shifted down nice and cleanly, and we're off. I think we're going to speed, we must be going down a gradient. Engine brake is working great, but it's an 11-litre engine, so overall, I mean, no great shakes. See, am I going to have to stop here for this toll? No, I can use the auto pass route. Okay, 14 euros. If you're wondering how much 14 euros in dollars, part of me wants to say it's 307 because of how weak the dollar is. But let's assume it's roughly euro per dollar. Okay, this must be a hill up because it's not changing up and not accelerating. So another quick test of the engine brake. Put it on right now. It's not going to downshift for me. I'm going to go ahead and encourage that. Give it a hint down. Do it again. And that's a very nice trick to just helping you lose a bit of speed without using the service brakes. This is quite a steep on-ramp, so I'll give it full bore, full chat right about now. Small hesitation as it figured out if I was in the right gear or not, and off it goes. tap resume, and then it removes all of the adaptive shifting stuff and just goes with a much simpler model. And no qualms there. We're almost at my destination. So we've got 30 minutes in the bank. So yeah, I did burn through over an hour of my extra time. And I think having a more powerful Renault engine or MIDR or even something else might have helped me avoid losing speed, because every time you lose speed, your average speed starts to drop, and that's what it's basing its timing on. It wants you to maintain a certain average speed. But I gotta say, I didn't have the highest of expectations for how well this engine would truly cope, being a little lower powered. It succeeded them. Even under braking, where a heavier load can be deceptive. Yes, you realise it takes time to pick up speed, but braking, it takes time as well. Get back to full power here. And yeah, it's okay.
At the roundabout, take the first exit.
Slight bit of hesitation there as it decided what gear to use. But once we're in gear, it's completely fine. And I know that the whole shifting thing it's an ATS ETS2 thing. In automated mode, it's not quite as good as a highly skilled driver, but it does mean you can listen to a podcast while driving without having to focus on every single gear change. So that is useful.
Get ready to turn left. Turn left.
Yes, we're getting tired. We know.
Get ready to turn right.
Gonna buy some motion lotion soon as well.
Turn
But
right.
I think this is my third or fourth trip along this route with before having to buy fuel, so that's useful. The 4x2s often have quite a high capacity fuel tank. I think this one's like that too. Okay, so let me summarize my thoughts on the 11 litre MIDR.
Turn left.
Completely usable. Works well, is not too powerful, not too weak. Fuel consumption wise, I'm sure it's been fine. I'm going to go with 5, but I have no idea. I've not been paying any attention to fuel consumption really. Fairly small engine, not that powerful. It got a heavy cargo and loss of gradient, so weighing those up, I don't think it's been amazing for fuel consumption, but I don't think it's been terrible either. Colour, spot on. Can't go wrong with a nice yellow truck. Trailer to match. So yeah, I think all up. Passes my my own requirements. I could probably release this today and it would be good enough. I would like to work a little more on the shift points, but I actually think that this does okay. Alright, so numbers then. 580 kilometers and 276 liters of fuel, so that is about 5 miles per gallon, which was more or less what I hoped to see. Now its freight ton efficiency at that is pretty high. It's about 150, which is twice the US freight ton efficiency average for 2019, which I know is a few years ago. So I won't go into specifics of how we calculate that, but the long and short are the higher the number, the better. But it's much easier to get a higher FTE with a heavier cargo. Anyway, enough of me blathering on. I hope that you enjoyed this and got something from it. If you have, you should know exactly what to do by now. If you thought it sucks, you also know what to do about it. And go ahead and click this like. But thanks so much, everyone. Hope to see you the next time. Take care. Goodbye.